You always want what you can't have, and while you had it.
The Galaxy S22 lineup is practically here, so the following are 7 reasons for why you ought to be excited for. Number 1. Each of the 3 models of the Galaxy S22 line are getting a completely new shape, as indicated by Ice Universe. The S22 and the S22 Plus are getting wider yet additionally more limited than last year. And then the S22 Ultra is presently going to appear as like a Galaxy Note, with these squared off corners. You may find this as bizarre, however you really want to recollect that Samsung has recently killed the Galaxy Note line, so it sort of seems okay for them to keep that squared off design in one way or another. Furthermore, Samsung might have made every one of the 3 Galaxy S22 model got down to business, yet, assuming they had done that, certain individuals may have skirted on purchasing the S22 lines since they preferred this more adjusted look. Furthermore, let's be honest, S21 deals were 20% lower than the S20 and 47% lower than the S10, so buyers need as many incentives as possible to upgrade. One more benefit of the more limited and fatter body is another aspect ratio of 19.5:9, instead of 20:9, which is the thing that the S21 and the S20 line have some good times. Truth is, 19.5:9 is the same as the ratio that the iPhone 13 uses, which is really the second motivation to be excited for the Galaxy S22 line. As indicated by Ice Universe, the standard S22 will be one of the smallest Samsung flagships in years, with a size that is pretty much identical to the 6-foot 1-inch iPhone 13, just slightly shorter. Furthermore, I feel that is an incredible choice by Samsung, as Apple's most famous iPhone size is the 6.1 in size that the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro comes in. So with Samsung making basically the iPhone 13 variant of their S22 line, I truly do accept that many individuals would get it only for that ideal size one, with significantly more modest bezels, and a dependable camera rather than the notch. The third reason to be excited for the S22 line is faster charging. Samsung phones have had fast charging for a really long time, with the S21 having the option to charge up to 55% in only 30 minutes utilizing a 25-watt charger. But the thing is, when you have phones like the OnePlus 9 Pro, for example, that can charge up to 100% in less than 30 minutes, that's when you know that Samsung really needs to improve. But luckily, Samsung is said to be bringing 45-watt charging, but only to the S22 Plus and the S22 Ultra. Now, Samsung did actually have 45-watt charging, but only on the S20 Ultra and the Note 10 Plus. They dished it as it wasn't that much faster than their 25-watt charging, and they also needed to buy a separate 45-watt charger anyway. And to be honest, this is not going to be the exact same situation again, unless Samsung decides to use a dual battery cell like OnePlus did and charge them in parallel. Adding 45 watts won't make that much of a difference if the battery is the bottleneck here. Ice Universe hasn't really said anything about dual batteries, only that Samsung will be using some sort of new charging chips, which could indeed allow for a more efficient charging. On top of that, Ice Universe also mentioned that the battery life on the S22 line would be improved, despite the standard S22 featuring a smaller 3700 mAh battery, compared to the 4000 inside S21. S22 Plus is also set to have a smaller battery 4600, which is again a downgrade from the S21 Plus, which was at 4800. However, the S22 Ultra is set to remain the same at 5000 mAh. However, I believe that the battery life would still remain the same as before, just with faster charging. And that is thanks to the brand new Snapdragon and excellent chips, which is the fourth reason why you should be excited for the Galaxy S22 line. More specifically, we would have the brand new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and the Exynos 2200. The Exynos 2200 is the one where we expect to see the result of Samsung's partnership with AMD with a more powerful GPU that supports ray tracing. Now all of this sounds amazing, but in reality, early benchmark numbers are not looking that impressive. On the other hand, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 is looking like a pretty giant leap over the last year of Snapdragon 8, mostly in GPU and the AI department. Early benchmarks are showing a massive 52% GPU improvement over the 888, and even as high as 20% over the Apple A13. Now CPU performance is nothing that impressive, as Apple A13 is still on top, and we're only seeing about a 6% improvement over the Snapdragon when it comes to AI performance. This is very debatable, as it really depends on how an app is taking advantage of it, but in theory, we could see significantly faster face detection and autofocusing, and the camera app a better understanding of the scene when you're taking a photo, a faster response time for the Google Assistant, and so on. But like I said, this is something that developers need to take advantage of. Regardless, there are definitely more reasons to consider a Snapdragon model this year than an Exynos. Unfortunately, the Snapdragon model would once again be restricted to us and only a few other regions. The fifth thing to get excited for are the camera improvements, more specifically, the S22 and the S22 Plus getting the brand new Samsung GN5 sensor. This is a brand new 50-megapixel sensor that Samsung has only recently announced, and just by looking at the specs, it doesn't look inferior to the GN1, which is what the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro are using, and also inferior to the GN2, which is what we have on the Mi 11 Ultra. In fact, it is very similar to Sony's IMX766, which is the mid-range sensor that the OnePlus Nord 2 uses. And I know what you're thinking. Samsung has gone mad. They're now going to use a mid-range camera sensor inside their flagship smartphone line. Well, I'm not really seeing it like this, and that's because Samsung's flagship line is now their Galaxy Z line, at least if we go by price. And their flagship S phone is still the Ultra model, which isn't getting some gigantic updates this year, which means that the other two phones in the S9 needs to be more affordable and therefore have less impressive features, and if that means having a mid-range camera sensor, I don't really see an issue. Also, you need to remember that Samsung has the best image processing on the market, with the S21 consistently winning and our camera tests against both the iPhone 13 Pro and the Pixel 6 Pro. So even with a weaker sensor, I still think that Samsung will be able to achieve some great results thanks to just how good their image processing already is. Number 6. I talked about the actual design leaks, who's pretty much always been spot on in terms of smartphone designs, released a new renders of the Galaxy S22 line based on the actual dimensions of the phones, starting off with the Regress 22. I think it looks amazing, and I can see how Ice Universe was saying that it looks very similar to an iPhone 13, as it really does. In fact, I think it actually resembles an iPhone 10 even more, as it does have those slight curves on the black bezels of the display, which do indeed look even thinner than what the iPhone currently has. I also love the back camera design. It is similar to the S21 in style, but a bit more refined. The S22 Plus shows this even more, as here, we can see that there is a glass covering the entire surface of the camera array rather than it being made out of metal like before. I honestly think that this is an outstanding looking phone, and I also think that a lot of people would be perfectly happy no matter which model they pick. Speaking of models, the last reason to be excited for the S22 line is that S22 Ultra, which is really a Note 22 Ultra just with a different name. We're getting that squared-off design back. We're also getting an S Pen built in. We're getting an even better display, more RAM, more storage, and a significantly better camera than what the S22 and the S22 Plus has. Of course not. I would love to hear your thoughts on the entire S22 lineup. Also, make sure to follow and review this video. As usual, fellows and ladies, thank you all for coming in and watching. I will see you in another video.